China, a vast earth and sky, past and present. The Great Wall of China is the longest man-made structure ever built. But before it became a symbol, it was once a dream of protection, of power, and sometimes of fear. It began more than 2,000 years ago, under the reign of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor to unify China. At first, scattered walls were linked together to defend against invasions from the north. And then, over the centuries, especially during the Ming Dynasty, 14th to 17th century, the structure gradually became a giant dragon of stone, winding more than 21,000 kilometers through mountains, grasslands, and deserts. But numbers alone cannot capture its grandeur. You only truly understand the Great Wall when you stand before it, when you look up at the steep stairways, high, deep, harsh, and unrelenting, when you step onto each stone worn smooth by the footsteps of millions guards, messengers, merchants, dreamers, and the nameless souls who shed sweat, blood, and years to build it. At Badaling, near Beijing, the most beautifully restored section, you can see the wall slithering along the mountainside like a spine of stone. When the mist drifts through, the wall seems to breathe, and when sunlight falls at an angle, the shadows of the watchtowers drop into the valleys below, as if history is still standing, watched through the night. Perhaps what makes the Great Wall feel most familiar to foreigners isn't its length or age, but the story behind it, a civilization that once believed it could keep out all that came from the outside world. With a wall, every brick, every stretch of earth is a whisper from an ancient empire. We will not be invaded. We will not forget, but at the same time, it's also an unspoken confession. We are afraid, and this is how we face that fear today. When you stand atop the Great Wall in the open wind, looking toward the horizon, you won't hear a soundtrack, only the wind, the footsteps, and something ancient rising up to meet you from beneath the stone. The Great Wall is no longer a fortress, it is a wordless story, written in stone, blood, time, and silence. And when you leave, you might not remember the statistics, but you'll carry with you a very clear feeling. This wasn't built for you to admire, it was built for you to stand before and be silent And when you leave the Great Wall, there may be a question echoing inside you. If humankind can create something this magnificent, then what about nature? Is there a place where stone, wind, and time themselves have created a scene beyond anything we could imagine? The answer awaits you in the south of China, where clouds don't float above the sky, but drift between stone peaks that rise straight from the earth. Zhangjiajie, in Hunan province, is unlike anywhere else on this planet, not because it's famous, not because it appeared in blockbuster films like Avatar, but because you can't believe this place is real. Thousands of giant limestone pillars shoot straight from the ground, ranging from 100 to over 300 meters high, like a vertical forest created not by human hands, but by nature's wildest imagination. They don't grow in rows, they don't follow rules, they rise with emotion, with the wind, shaped by underground streams that have carved the stone over millions of years. In the morning, when mist rolls up from the valleys, each stone pillar seems to float, no base, no footing, only mountaintops and clouds. You lose all sense of depth. You can no longer tell what's real and what's a reflection. All that remains is a world where gravity seems to have stepped aside for imagination. The most iconic area, Zhangjiajie, is the direct inspiration for the floating mountains in the movie Avatar. There is a natural stone bridge connecting two towering pillars known as the first bridge under heaven. You can stand there, look down into the cloud-shrouded abyss, and feel as if you're between two worlds. And then you suddenly realize nature doesn't have to be grand in a loud way. It only needs to quietly raise a single pillar into the sky and let the wind and clouds do the rest. The paths around Zhangjiajie are not for the hurried. You will pass stone-paved trails, sheer cliff edges, and glass bridges suspended in the air, where you can see your own fear reflected beneath your feet. But when you lift your gaze and see a moss-covered pillar, clouds wrapped around it like a cloak, and a lone pine tree growing sideways out of the cliff, you'll understand why the ancients called this place the Forest of Hidden Gods. In Zhangjiajie, nature doesn't preach. It stands, silent, mysterious, enough to make you question things on your own. And when you leave, it won't feel like you've passed through a place, but as though you've just stepped out of a dream, where gravity didn't exist, where limits dissolved, and no truth had to make sense. And when you leave Zhangjiajie, there might be a strange feeling echoing inside. The rocks have come alive. The trees have learned to stand like pillars of the sky, and you wonder, is there a place where nature isn't built through grandeur, but through pure stillness, not overwhelming you, but drawing you into a gentleness so profound you hardly dare to breathe? The answer lies in the northwest of Sichuan, where maple forests meet five-colored lakes, and water tells stories through light. If there is a place that makes you believe heaven isn't above, but right here on earth, it is Jiuzhaigou. The name Jiuzhaigou means Valley of Nine Villages, but in truth, you won't be counting villages here. What stops you in your tracks is the water. Water in Jiuzhaigou doesn't just flow, it rests, reflects, dies, and sometimes sings. Every lake here is its own world, with its own color, its own mood, as if nature dissolved the entire color palette into every drop. Five Flower Lake, or Wuhua High, is considered the spiritual jewel of Jiuzhaigou. The surface is so clear, you can see to the bottom, where tree trunks that fell centuries ago still lie motionless, but not lifeless. At different times of day, the water changes color. Sapphire blue, jade green, pale turquoise. Sometimes even a hint of violet, as if the lake shifts emotions with the light. And then you arrive at Nuorilang Falls, the largest tiered waterfall in China, where water flows down like a sheer silk ribbon draped over the forest, carrying with it the sound of moss, rock, and sunlight. Unlike the grandeur of Zhangjiajie or the harshness of the Great Wall, Jiuzhaigou doesn't want to astonish you. It wants to soften you, to make you pause, and to let nature soothe the things in your heart you don't yet have words. Every step through Jiuzhaigou is a step into a painting. Maple forests, burning red in autumn, mist-covered lakes at dawn, wooden walkways leading you through a world where silence is preserved like an ancient ritual. The local Tibetans believe each lake here is a mirror of the sky, where the gods once gazed upon themselves before departing. You may not believe the legend, but when you stand beside the lake, wordless, soundless, you will feel something looking back at you through the water. Jiuzhaigou is not a place to explore. It is a place where you forget you are exploring, and instead, simply exist in a moment where time seems to no longer apply. And when you leave Jiuzhaigou with a soul as calm as the surface of a still lake, you might think, surely nature has poured all its subtlety into this place. How could there be anywhere else so poetic, so serene, so enchanting? And then a river appears, not noisy, not rushed, just flowing slowly between limestone mountains like an ancient ink wash painting. Yet it feels as if it were just brushed this morning with Chinese ink and morning mist. If China were an ancient book, Guilin would be the pages written in poetry, located in the south, in Guangxi province. This is the visual dream of countless painters, poets, and travelers for centuries. What makes Guilin eternal is the Li River, a legendary river not because of its length, but because of the way it moves through the world, like telling a sorrowful love story through water. On either side, hundreds of towering limestone peaks rise from the earth, not in rows, not in order, like spirits standing guard over a 1,000-year-old river. They are not majestic in the snow-covered mountain kind of way. They are small, gentle, and curving like an ancient zither melody, quiet and timeless, sailing down the Li River in the morning when mist still clings to the reeds. Feels like gliding through a black and white dream where light is just a soft dot in a giant ink wash scroll. You'll see fishermen silently paddling bamboo rafts. You'll see white egrets flying past mountain peaks like brushstrokes, not yet dry. You'll feel that you're in a place where there's no boundary between poetry and reality. One of the most beautiful stretches of the Li River is from Guilin to Yangshuo, a journey of about 83 kilometers where every meter of water, every blade of grass seems placed there centuries ago, solely to please your gaze today. And you'll understand why an old Chinese proverb says, "The finest scenery under heaven is in Guilin." But you won't need anyone to tell you that, because it's the silence between the mountains and rivers here that speaks the loudest. Guilin isn't just a place to look at. It's a place to remind you, some kinds of beauty need no reason. They only need to exist. Like a poem without rhyme, but one you'll want to read for a lifetime. And then, as you leave the Li River in the late afternoon light, carrying in your heart the image of misty mountains like paintings, You might think this journey is only for those who love the beauty of nature, of water, mountains, and forests. But China is not just a landscape painting, it is a treasure trove of living memories, where even stone can tell stories and darkness can glow. Come to where faith is carved into stone, where light does not come from the sun, but from paintings 1,000 years old that are still breathing. Located on the edge of the arid Gobi Desert, near the city of Dunhuang in Gansu province, the Mogao Caves do not welcome you with greenery or cool water. They open amid sand and rock, between heat and stillness, like a miracle that shouldn't exist in the desert. And yet, here, 1,000 years ago, people with bare hands carved stone, painted colors, etched figures, and created one of the greatest Buddhist art treasures in the world. There are more than 700 caves in Mogao, each a world of its own. On the walls, vaulted ceilings, stone columns, are millions of images: Buddhas meditating, bodhisattvas walking, silk ribbons floating like wind, celestial maidens dancing in the void, all painted since the 4th century, with natural mineral pigments, and to this day, still strangely intact, as if time itself was afraid to smudge the sacred. There are caves so vast you have to tilt your head back, as if gazing into the sky beneath the earth. There are Buddha statues up to 35 meters tall, not to flaunt power, but to remind small human beings to bow before enlightenment. The air inside the caves is cool, so silent you can hear your own footsteps echo across the centuries. And if you stand still long enough, you may feel. Here, no one is truly alone, because even the walls are watching you. Mogao is not merely a place that preserves art. It is where faith, fear, hope, and the human soul are crystallized in every brushstroke. The ancients created these caves as a prayer sent to the heavens, and now they whisper back to us. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to understand Sanskrit or scripture. If your heart can still feel beauty and sacrifice, Mogao will reach you through the silence of light. And then, when you leave the mystical darkness of Mogao, where light lives inside ancient paintings, you will carry in your heart a strange realization that the most sacred things can be hidden in the driest places. But China continues to whisper, you haven't seen it all, because in the place where the earth opens up, it doesn't speak. It uses color to render you speechless. Welcome to Zhangjiajie, also known as the Rainbow Mountains, a geological masterpiece located in Gansu province, where desert meets the Kunlun Mountains. Here, nature doesn't just form mountains. It paints. You won't believe your eyes. Before you lies a range of mountains dyed red, orange, yellow, green, purple, pink, as if someone had spilled a palette of paint over the land. No filters, no special effects, all of it real. The color bands ripple along the mountain slopes, sometimes layered like folds of silk, sometimes flowing like waves of pigment in a dream. At every hour of the day, light transforms the painting into a new version. Each glance is a fresh moment of wonder, and you'll ask yourself, who painted this place? No one. Or perhaps it was time itself. For over 24 million years, red sandstone, minerals, and sediment compressed, then rose, fractured, sculpted by wind, washed by rain, all working together in a slow but flawless symphony of nature. And now, the result is a land that looks like it doesn't belong to this planet. Standing before Dangxia, you cannot help but feel small, not because of the mountain's height, but because of the sense that Earth, too, can make art. And humans, no matter how brilliant, cannot recreate this beauty again. Dangxia has no temples, no ancient statues or murals, but with only color and silence, it's enough to make you stand still for a very long time, not to take photos. But to remember, because there will come a time when you leave this place and the image may fade from your memory, but the feeling of witnessing Earth tell its story through color will stay with you forever. And when the light of Dangxia still lingers in your eyes, you'll realize beauty doesn't only come from grandeur. It also comes from things old, quiet, and familiar, where people live slowly, breathe slowly, and love slowly. And then you step into Xitang, where every cobblestone seems to carry the footprints of the past, tucked away in Zhejiang province. Not far from Shanghai, Xitang is unlike any modern city. No skyscrapers, no honking horns, only canals woven like silk threads. Old houses with traditional curved tile roofs, and narrow alleyways enough to make you forget the outside world. Xitang was built over 1,000 years ago and was once a bustling trading hub. Today, the town still carries the silhouette of past dynasties with more than 100 small stone bridges. Dozens of winding pedestrian streets along the river and red lanterns quietly lighting up each time dusk falls. Here, you don't just see, you hear the sound of water hitting wooden paddles. Smell old wood mixed with kitchen smoke and camellia blossoms. And sometimes feel like you are living in a slow-motion dream. At sunset, the long corridors along the river reflect on the water's surface. You see locals playing Chinese chess on stone benches, tea sellers and craft vendors sitting by old windows, and small wooden boats gliding slowly as if afraid to shatter the peace. Xitang doesn't try to hold you with grandeur. It simply invites you to sit, sip a cup of hot tea, and listen to the sound of time passing unhurried, unbothered. In a world constantly rushing forward, Xitang is where you're allowed to slow down. And remember, true beauty sometimes only needs a deep enough breath, and if you think you've seen it all, look up, higher, where the air is thinner, the ground colder, and the sky seems closer to the human spirit. The next journey takes you to a place ancient Chinese believed to be the dwelling of the gods. This is Tianqi Heaven Lake, nestled within the Changbai Mountains on the China-North Korea border. Tianqi, also known as Heaven Lake, is one of the highest volcanic lakes in the world. At nearly 2,200 meters above sea level, surrounded by snow-capped peaks, the lake appears as a cold, silent, flawless blue gem. Its surface is as smooth as a mirror, so still it could reflect the deepest thoughts inside you. In summer, it shimmers emerald green. In winter, fully frozen and snow-white, breathtakingly beautiful. Tianqi is not noisy. There are no bustling shops, nor echoing crowds. Only wind, stone, and water telling a story thousands of years old together. The ancients believed this was where heaven and earth meet, where the gods descended to bathe in sacred waters and bless the world. Today, people come here seeking a moment of absolute peace, standing at the lake's edge, in the sharp, chill, and endless view. You no longer feel like a tourist. You are a tiny human in the vastness of the universe, allowed to momentarily forget the noisy world below and listen to the sacred silence of Heaven Lake. And perhaps, in just a fleeting moment, you will sense the invisible presence of something higher, deeper, a form of connection between human and eternity. And if heaven truly exists, it may have once walked through this place, a hidden valley among the northern mountains of Sichuan province, where blue lakes, fiery maple leaves, and white waterfalls entwine like a living painting. Welcome to Jiuzhaigou, China's fairy tale paradise. Situated between 2,000 and 4,500 meters above sea level. Jiuzhaigou is a nature reserve recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site since 1992. The name Jiuzhaigou means Valley of Nine Tibetan Villages, a sacred land that blends the majestic beauty of mountains and forests with vibrant, humble, native culture. But what truly makes this place beyond imagination is the water. Dragon Lake, Mirror Lake, Five Flower Lake. Each name marks a different realm. Each surface of water, a surreal mirror, jade green, sapphire, turquoise, soft, purple, and all so clear you can see right to the bottom, especially in autumn. The maple forests dye the hills crimson, reflecting in the multicolored lakes, making you feel like you're walking through a giant kaleidoscope crafted by nature. The sound of waterfalls echoes through the mountain passes. Cascading white streams rush over ancient limestone tiers, appearing like ribbons of heaven falling into the vast forest. The air here is so pure, it makes you want to breathe deeply, to hold on to that feeling, even if only in memory. Jiuzhaigou is not just a place to go and see. It is a place to stop and feel, to feel the meticulous artistry of nature, to feel your own smallness, and to feel that some kinds of beauty need no explanation, only a heart that knows how to marvel. If there is a place where nature and spirituality intertwine, it is here, where clouds drift at eye level, where temple bells echo through the morning mist, and every step you take is an invitation to journey inward. This is Mount Emei, one of the 4 sacred Buddhist mountains of China, and a place where, according to ancient legend, heaven and earth's energies converge. Located in Sichuan province, Mount Emei, Shan rises to nearly 3,099 meters above sea level. It is not just a mountain range, it is a spiritual pilgrimage, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996. Mount Emei has been a deeply rooted center of Buddhism since the 1st century, and to this day, it remains a sacred destination for millions of pilgrims. What makes Emei special is not just its height, but the experience of ascending into stillness from the base to the summit. Golden Summit Jinding. You'll pass through whispering bamboo forests, cool waterfalls, and ancient temples veiled in fog-like scenes from a dream. At the summit, you'll see the gilded statue of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, over 48 meters tall, facing all 4 directions as if watching over the entire world in silence. On clear days, seas of clouds roll beneath the statue, creating a surreal vision that takes your breath away. Hikers often say Amay is not just high in geography, but in feeling. Because when you reach the top, the strange thing is, you don't feel grander, you feel humbler. This is not a place for those who seek only a check-in. It is for those willing to be silent, to listen, and to let nature explain what words cannot. And the next destination in our wondrous journey is Zhangjiajie, a natural wonder in Hunan province. China, this place is not only known for its surreal beauty, but was also the inspiration for the floating mountains in the movie Avatar. And once you stand in its presence, you'll understand why. Zhangjiajie is a vast labyrinth of more than 3,000 towering sandstone pillars, standing upright among green forests and white clouds. There is no place on Earth quite like this. Each pillar looks like a prehistoric tower, rising 200 to 400 meters tall, emerging from the earth as if nature carved them by the hand of a god. You'll walk across wooden bridges suspended in the sky, stand on glass, skywalks clinging to the cliffs, and look up at colossal stone columns that seem to float in the 9th layer of clouds. When sunrise casts light at an angle, the entire stone forest glows like a fairy kingdom, golden hues pouring onto rock faces, pink glimmers reflected in the mist, and every boundary between real and unreal seems to dissolve. Zhangjiajie is not just a scenic spot, it is a spiritual experience, a chance to feel how small you truly are in the face of nature's grandeur. If there is a place on Earth where silence is born from awe, this is it. And now, I invite you to a hidden gem in the far north of Xitang, where golden birch forests blaze, where lake waters shift color with the seasons, where legend and landscape merge. Welcome to Karnas Lake, nestled deep in the Altai Mountains. Karnas Lake stretches like a massive mirror amid untouched wilderness. Its crystal-clear waters can change from emerald green to deep blue, depending on light and temperature. The silence is so complete. You can hear a single leaf touch the water's surface and feel the wind whisper through towering ancient pines. In autumn, the entire forest surrounding the lake bursts into flames of gold, red, and orange, a scene that renders all who witness it speechless. But Karnas is not only beautiful in scenery. The local Tuvan people believe a massive ancient creature lives beneath its deep waters, a lake monster said to have once devoured livestock from herders, though unproven. This legend lends the lake an air of deep mystery. When moonlight casts across the still waters, everything seems to pause. No noise, just you, nature, and the feeling that a piece of your soul has been left behind in this place, leaving behind the quiet forests and lakes of Xinjiang. We head south to Yunnan province, where hills have been sculpted by time and human hands. Welcome to the Yuanyang rice terraces, one of the most ancient and beautiful agricultural feats on the planet. At altitudes of thousands of meters above sea level, the tiered paddies rise like stairways to the sky, flowing gracefully along the curves of the mountain slopes, creating a living painting whenever the sun rises or sets. At dawn, sunlight gilds the shimmering pools, turning the entire field into a radiant mirror of the sky. At dusk, orange, purple, and red spread across the flooded paddies, as if the earth itself is breathing light. What makes this place remarkable is not only its beauty, but its enduring existence for more than 1,300 years. Built by the Honey people, these fields were created without any modern machinery, only bare hands, ancestral wisdom, and deep reverence for Mother Earth. In the water season, it becomes a paradise for photographers. In the harvest season, the whole valley blazes golden like waves of rice. And in winter, the terraces are veiled in mist, appearing like a dream made of fog. Standing within this space, you are no longer a tourist. You are part of the landscape, a part of the story written together by humans and nature over centuries. If there is any place that feels like stepping into a dream, it is Mount Fanjing, Chinese Fanjingshan, located in Guizhou province, in southwestern China, with an elevation of more than 2,500 meters. This mountain is not only a geological wonder, but also a sacred Buddhist site with over 1,000 years of history. When you stand at the summit, a sea of clouds stretches below like a silk tapestry, concealing the entire mundane world beneath. Amid sky and cloud rise, two twin stone peaks, each crowned by a small temple, connected by a narrow bridge suspended in the air. To reach this place, you must climb thousands of stone steps, circle sheer cliffs, and pass through dense layers of mist. Every step is a challenge. Every breath is a form of meditation. But once at the top, the absolute stillness and sacred atmosphere will make you believe you've arrived at the junction between earth, sky, and soul. Fanjing is not just known for its landscape, but for its seclusion and purity, home to many rare species, including the golden snub-nosed monkey, a primate found only in this region. In the early morning, sunlight strikes the cloud sea, casting brilliant golden bands. By afternoon, the clouds part to reveal deep green mountains stretching to the horizon. It's like a vivid oil painting, where there is no noise, only wind, temple bells, and the quiet of your stirred heart. Welcome to the Li River, located in Guilin, southern China, a place that has silenced ancient painters, poets, and modern photographers alike. With its sublime beauty, the Li River stretches for about 83 kilometers, weaving between hundreds of limestone tower-shaped mountains. Serene Richepadis, ancien village, and lush bamboo groves. The water is crystal clear like a mirror, reflecting the clouds, the dragon-shaped mountain ranges, and small boats gliding as if they never touched the surface. This place is so beautiful that it was once printed on the 20 yuan banknote of China, and many call it the Venice of Eastern nature. But the truth is, the Li River resembles no other place in the world. Its uniqueness lies not in its length or scale, but in the perfect harmony between water, mountains, mist, and sky, creating a scene that feels like a dream, yet real. Like a painting, yet alive. In the morning, mist blankets the river, making the entire landscape float between illusion and reverie. At noon, sunlight pierces through the clouds, tracing golden outlines around the peaks like a miniature universe of light and stone. And when the sun sets, the twilight spills across the water. Fishermen with cormorants anchor their boats mid-river, and an ancient scene is reborn in the modern age. Boating on the Li River is not just a sightseeing trip, it's a meditative journey where you feel each breeze, each ripple, and allow your heart to be renewed by the astonishing simplicity of nature tucked within the mountains of Guilin. Reed Flute Cave is not merely a place to admire stones, but a realm where your imagination enters a fairy tale world. Formed over 180 million years ago, the cave stretches about 240 meters, filled with an array of stalactites, stalagmites, stone columns, and crystal-clear underground lakes, all illuminated by colored lights that create a dreamlike atmosphere. Light shining from below makes the formations sparkle like living crystal, shaped into dragons, lotus flowers, even frozen waterfalls. You don't need imagination, just look up, and an entire mythological world unfolds before your eyes. The Chinese call this place the Natural Palace Underground. And rightly so, every corner of the cave feels alive, as if nature spent millions of years sculpting a stone fairy tale. The water within is still like a mirror, reflecting the entire stone ceiling above, blurring the line between real and illusion. It feels like walking through a dream without boundaries. Beyond its visual beauty, the cave also serves as a natural archaeological archive, with traces of prehistoric humans who once lived and hid within. Every step you take echoes through the space. Every breath dissolves into the cool air, and in that moment, you'll understand why some places don't need words. Only silence and presence. Hidden deep in the mountains of Sichuan, Jiuzhaigou is not just a national park, it is a sacred, natural sanctuary, where nature weaves the most vivid colors you will ever see. Here, tiered waterfalls cascade like silver silk. The crystal-clear lakes shift colors with sunlight jade, deep blue, amber gold, and snow-capped peaks tower year-round as if brushing the heavens. In autumn, the entire valley ignites with fiery reds, golden yellows, and brilliant oranges. In winter, it transforms into a white kingdom, frosted pines, frozen lakes sparkling like crystal, and every snowflake drifts as if painting stillness itself. The name Jiuzhaigou originates from 9 ancient Tibetan villages scattered across the region, with bright red wooden rooftops resting quietly in snow-covered valleys, telling the story of a culture in harmony with nature. This is not a place for hurry. Every scene is a work of art, and if you rush by, you'll miss the smallest, most astonishing details. A branch casting its reflection in water so clear it disappears. A small bird perched beside a waterfall, or the chill at your fingertips as you touch the icy mist. Jiuzhaigou is not merely beautiful, it is a spiritual experience where you feel nature and humanity becoming one, and all sense of time seems to pause. If you've ever thought deserts were only sand and heat, the Gobi will change your mind. Stretching over 1,600 kilometers across several northern Chinese provinces, the Gobi is unlike any other desert. Here, sand does not sing with the wind, it tells stories through stone, through mountains, through buried relics. Once part of the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west, the Gobi carries the traces of traders, caravans, and long-lost oases. You may be walking on the very sands once marked by the footsteps of Marco Polo, where camel caravans braved sandstorms to carry silk, tea, and porcelain across thousands of harsh miles. The scenery here is a strange fusion of desolation and grandeur. Dunes as tall as fortress walls. Wind whipping up sand like smoke. And then suddenly a lush oasis emerges in the sea of golden expanse. Crescent Lake is living proof, a crescent-shaped ribbon of water that has existed for thousands of years, cradling an ancient temple where monks once meditated between the white sands and sun-scorched skies. Aish sunset, the desert glows red, like molten gold. And when night falls, you'll witness a sky ablaze with stars, untouched by artificial light. A kind of primal brilliance that makes you feel small yet deeply connected. The Gobi Desert is not a place to seek comfort, but a place to hear your soul echo in the infinite void. A pause in time, a mirror of endurance where sand, wind, and memory become one amid the harsh heart of the Gobi Desert, near the city of Dunhuang in Gansu province. Hidden beneath layers of time's dust is one of the greatest cultural wonders of the world. The Mogao Caves, also known as the Thousand Buddha Grottos. This is not a natural cave, but a complex of over 700 man-made caves carved into the cliff face, beginning in the 4th century AD and continuing for over 1,000 years, and within each cave a world of its own. You will be overwhelmed upon entering ceilings, walls, and floors covered in murals, vibrant frescoes stretching over 45,000 square meters. They are not just paintings, they are history, philosophy, religion, art, and spirit, expressed through each layer of color, each brushstroke, each crack etched by time. Inside the largest caves stand colossal Buddha statues up to 35 meters high, carved from stone and painted with natural minerals, still holding their ancient gaze, a look of compassion that pierces the soul. But it's not just visual beauty. Mogao is also famed for its secret library, Cave 17, where over 50,000 scriptures, manuscripts, and ancient documents from the 5th to 11th centuries were discovered, including handwritten texts in Sanskrit, Tibetan, Chinese, and many other ancient languages. It is the largest spiritual and intellectual archive of the medieval world ever found. The miracle is this, though: set in the dry desert, the morning light filtering into the caves is gentle enough to illuminate the ancient hues. You'll feel as if time has paused and the ancient artisans are still there, quietly painting the final strokes. Here, you are not just a tourist. You are a witness in conversation with history, with spirit, with the echoing silence of over 1,600 years. If China is a grand canvas of nature and spirit, then Tibet is the sky where that canvas ascends, a vast plateau stretching endlessly, sitting at an elevation of over 4,000 meters above sea level, where the thin air quickens your heartbeat, not only from lack of oxygen, but from the surreal beauty unfolding before your eyes. Tibet is not a destination. It is an experience of meditation, of inner truth, and of the ultimate human threshold. Here, you will encounter the Himalayas, the highest mountain range on Earth, with Mount Everest resting on the border between Tibet and Nepal, touching the sky, cloaked in snow year-round, silently guarding heaven and earth. But the beauty of Tibet lies not in its height, but in its depth. Deep within the valleys are ancient monasteries like Potala, Tashilhunpo, Yokhang, where monks meditate in silence, and chanting echoes like sound waves from another realm, the Potala Palace, Once the residence of the Dalai Lama, perches atop the Red Hill in Lhasa like a castle suspended between clouds and snow winds. With over 1,000 rooms, 10,000 paintings, and tens of thousands of statues, all built by hand, and unwavering faith, along the stone paths are prayer wheels. Pilgrims walk slowly, spinning them rhythmically, eyes closed, as if in conversation with the sky. Tibet is also a land where light and shadow intertwine in strange harmony. Mornings are crystal clear, sunlight flooding the desolate plains, and by afternoon, dark clouds may suddenly gather. Then snow falls without warning, as if nature is testing your inner peace. Every night in Tibet is a silent symphony, a star-filled sky free from light pollution, wind howling over stone roofs, and in the distance, the sound of temple bells ringing like a call from the unseen world. To visit Tibet is not to sightsee, it is to engage in a dialogue with stillness, no words needed. No race against time. You simply breathe amid the raw and vast Tibetan plateau, where heaven and earth meet without clear boundaries. Lies a deep blue lake that seems bottomless, Lake Namtso, meaning Lake of Heaven in Tibetan. At an elevation of more than 4,700 meters above sea level, Namtso is one of the highest saltwater lakes in the world, and also one of the rare places where you can feel closest to the sky while still standing on the ground. You will never forget the first moment you see the lake, a vast mirror, utterly still, reflecting clouds, snow mountains, and light, like a surreal dream. On sunny days, its turquoise waters stretch to the horizon, and on cloudy days, the entire space transforms into a mystical universe between reality and illusion. Tibetans believe that Lake Namtso is sacred, a dwelling place of gods and a destination for pilgrims seeking inner purification. Each year, in the fourth month of the Tibetan calendar, thousands walk around the lake, completing a 70-kilometer journey of prayer, meditation, and release from suffering. Surrounding the lake are wild grasslands, wandering herds of yak, and snow-covered peaks standing guard like treasures of the earth and sky. No major cities, no smog, no loud noise, only the wind, the sound of footsteps on stone, and your breath merging with the heavens. In winter, Lake Namtso freezes completely, becoming a giant ice mirror, reflecting the stars above. And in summer, the lake's waters softly evaporate at dawn, forming a thin veil of mist that drifts over the surface like a soul wandering between realms. Here, you'll understand why people call Namtso the tear of heaven. Not because it's sad, but because it's too beautiful, too still, too pure. It leaves anyone silent before its unspeakable sacredness. Hidden among the misty forests of Sichuan province, Golden Monkey Valley is a magical part of Mount Emai, where dense bamboo groves, trickling waterfalls, and free-roaming monkeys come together in a fairy tale world. This is not a landscaped park. It is the true home of hundreds of Tibetan golden monkeys, one of the world's rarest primates. Strictly protected by China, as you enter the valley, you're not just sightseeing, you're stepping into the territory of the wild, where humans are guests and animals are hosts. No fences, no glass cages. The monkeys, with fur that glows like the morning sun and intelligent, expressive faces, will cross your path, swing from tree to tree, and sometimes pause to look at you with curiosity, as if you are the rare creature here. The air is humid, fresh, and carries the scent of earth and bamboo resin. Morning mist drapes the forest in enchantment, blurry trees, echoing bird calls. And somewhere, the call of a monkey rising like a message from the depths of the wild. The wooden path weaving through the bamboo forest is a trail that leads you deeper into this fairy tale beauty, where humans and nature seem to be speaking in a primordial, wordless language. In spring, the valley is blanketed in wildflowers. In autumn, the leaves turn golden, and the bamboo groves seem to blaze under the setting sun. All year round, the sound of trickling streams plays like an eternal soundtrack to this land. Golden Monkey Valley is not a place for check-ins or casual snapshots. It is a powerful reminder that nature doesn't need humans to exist, but humans need nature to find themselves again. Imagine standing before a colossal oil painting where streaks of red, orange, yellow, green, and brown blend together as if painted by the hand of a cosmic artist. That is Zhangjiajie, also known as the Danxia Rainbow Mountains. Located in Gansu province, northwestern China, the scenery here defies human imagination. It wasn't built by humans. It wasn't made with cinematic effects. This is the result of more than 24 million years of geological transformation, as ancient red sandstone layers were molded by wind, rain, and time into vibrant strata stretching across hundreds of square kilometers under the light of sunset. Danxia seems to catch fire. Each layer of rock glows in fiery reds and oranges, streaked with yellows and greens, as if the earth has awakened from a million-year slumber. But it's not just the color that stuns the entire terrain. It's a bizarre labyrinth of deep ravines, sheer cliffs, and jagged peaks resembling a carved lunar surface. The roads are winding, the wind fierce, and there is no shade, only stone, searing sunlight, and the overwhelming feeling of smallness before this majestic creation of nature. The ancient Chinese once called Danxia the Dragon Vein Mountains, believing these colorful ridges were the tracks where celestial dragons once slept beneath the earth. And indeed, along the high trails, you can see a massive dragon's body winding through the vibrant valleys. Zhangjiajie was once listed among the most beautiful landscapes on Earth by National Geographic, and it has served as the backdrop for many famous 4 Kelvin films worldwide. This is not just a wonder to behold, it is a reminder of nature's patience and resilience, that even the driest grains of dust, after millions of years, can become a miraculous masterpiece that humankind will never replicate. And the final stop in our journey through China's breathtaking wonders is Yangzhou, a small town nestled along the Li River, yet holding a natural beauty unmatched anywhere else. If there's one place that makes you want to put your phone down, take a deep breath, and let your heart fall quiet, it's this. From above, Yangzhou looks like a freshly painted Chinese ink scroll. The crystal-clear Li River threads between hundreds of sharp limestone peaks rising from the earth like fairy tale towers. At dawn, mist floats above the water, reflecting the gentle pink glow of sunrise. By afternoon, golden sunlight washes over rice fields, curved rooftops, and the rhythmic paddling of local boats. The best way to fully absorb this beauty, let yourself drift on a bamboo raft, floating gently with the current listening to birdsong echo in the distance, the breeze rustling through riverside bamboo, and silence, because only in silence can you hear life here whispering to you. Many visitors describe Yangshuo as an ancient Chinese tropical dream, a place where people and nature don't just coexist, they intertwine gently, gracefully, without force. It's no coincidence that the 20 yuan banknote features the Li River, a tribute to this magnificent scenery and to the peaceful, slow-paced way of life this land preserves. Walking through the old villages, you'll see elders drying corn in front of their homes, children riding bicycles across stone bridges, water buffalo grazing by the fields, everything so simple it softens even the most weary of hearts.